Question for you. On April 2012, you mentioned that a meeting with the SPR is a waste of time. I would like to request that rather than sitting in Dataran Merdeka, I wanted to just sit with the SPR and EC election commissions to map out the best things moving forward. Because from the last Bersih 2 to Bersih 3, there has been not much action being taken from his side to discuss the issues. No point talking to the media. They should sit down with them, put up a role plan, see how we can address the issue and make the country better and people can enjoy those benefits.
Thank you for the question, Shaul. I think the point is this: because of all the evidence that we have seen, as far as we are concerned, this is going to be the dirtiest elections. That's our fear. All right, that's our fear. And yes, and we have good reasons for saying that. And at the end of the day, all we ask is, please guarantee that you will implement. Fulfilling for me in the English language means implement. Doesn't mean writing about it. It means you write and you implement. All we're asking, delay the elections. Please, delay the elections. Give us time. And we, July last year, we actually, civil society offered. We offered to sit in a non-partisan, in a group where both parties would be represented, all parties, political parties would be represented, as well as civil society. And we said, form an independent panel, and we will help clean up the electoral roll. If they had done that in July last year, it would be done by now. But can you see the reluctance of EC to have someone independent looking over their shoulder in relation to the electoral roll? That is even the PSC recommendation they're not accepting. So this is what we fear, you see. So to me, talking to them is of no use. We want a new set of people who are not going to behave like civil servants. That's all we're asking for. And all we want is... That's why I'm saying, we want what you want. And we are happy to sit with all the MPs, Sit, hear us out, hear the figures that we put up, hear our experts. It's not from me, I'm quoting figures from experts. We have a mapping expert who talks about this. That's why we don't know what map EC is using. Google map, this map, that map. He says there's a confusion which map they're using. And by the way, I understand Country Khalid was paying rates to PJ. So I don't know how he became a KL, this common sense, a KL constituency. That's the other thing. So much as I understand, everybody wants us to talk. I'm telling you, it's not going to work. Not with this EC. I'm sorry.
I came here expecting a spirit of cooperation and reasonableness. No, seriously. Because ultimately, if Datuk S.Ambiga, if you have already said we cannot work with the EC, we want this EC to resign, we cannot cooperate with this EC, we don't trust this EC, then it's a foregone conclusion. You've already put it front and center that this election is going to be dirty, that it's going to be beyond repair. That's why you come up with all these figures. And even when I come forward to give you arguments which I've gotten from the Election Commission themselves, as an MP I asked them, you might ask how come he's talking about, no, I asked them. Just like every other MP was allowed to ask them, I actually did my homework, I went back and asked them, but you cannot even accept that. That's my problem. The issue of the map, also you can't accept that Jalan Datuk Abu Bakar is the border between Wilayah and Selangor. Even that you reject. That's extremely unreasonable. And if you want to really go down to detail one by one, you say you leave it to the experts. Okay. On Meng said, amongst other things, he said there were new army and postal voters who are above the recruitment age, which is 30 years old. Initially I thought these were people who were reservists, who joined the regular army, and they are allowed to join over 30 years old, but they were not. They were in the latest role. So I did my check. What happened was, these army officers previously had an IC, a normal civilian IC, but they never informed SPR that they had received a military IC. That's why they were double registered on the electoral roll, and they have to be taken out. You see, the burden of proof in our electoral system is that we need to inform the EC. If you passed away, your next of kin has to inform the EC. If you change address, you have to inform the EC. Now, this is something that we can talk in the long term, but that is protecting the constitutional right of voters so they're not stricken off. That's the issue. If you talk, Ong Kian Ming again, you referred to Ong Kian Ming, he said there are now wives of police officers registered as postal voters. He said this is against the law because only wives of army personnel are allowed to be registered as postal voters. Tiba-tiba dia cari, dia kata ada wives of police officers registered as postal voters. I checked. I said, what are these cases of wives of police personnel registered as postal voters? This is part of the fraud that she claims is perpetuated by the EC. These are all spouses of a particular police unit called PGA, Pasukan Gerakan Am. If anyone knows about the police, PGA is an infantry unit for the police. They are a paramilitary unit. Only wives of the PGA who serve like the army, who serve at the border, who serve in Kelantan, who serve in Grit, who serve in Kedah, are given the right to register as postal voters. I give you that example. Also, you cannot accept, say no, this is illegal. But under the regulation, they are allowed to register whoever they deem fit as postal voters. Not all spouses of police personnel, but in this case, police personnel from the PGA, who are like the army. They are sent to camps to the border. They are sent into the hutan. Therefore, they are given the same privilege as army personnel's wives. So there's an explanation. If I explain like that, a lot of you say, okay, but the problem is, we come back to the fundamental problem, is that you don't trust the EC. And I'm having a tough time trusting you tonight, because there's nothing that I can say to bring you to the table and not debate the EC, Datuk. I'm asking you to come and talk to them so that we can get to the bottom of all these issues.